Today, let's talk about a viewer question that I got. I got a question recently about how do I move forward when I'm not sure what path to take. So, when we have a big situation like this, it's generally a good idea to just start focusing on the smallest thing you can do to get at least one step closer to the goal that we want to achieve, right? So, for example, we want to lose weight. How do we lose weight? There's gotta be one thing you can do, even if you've never done any kind of weight loss before. There's gotta be something that you can do today, right? Maybe eat one spoon less. Maybe walk 15 more minutes than yesterday. So these things, they're already in here. It's up to you to access it and then to actually bring it to your life, right? Okay, so to elaborate on this a little bit, not all actions that you take are equal in weight. And also, not all steps are qualitatively the same. What I really want to say is, in the beginning, the steps that you take will really be focusing on data collection. What happens when I do this? What happens when I do that? Oh, okay, so this is the first data set that I got. But what happens if I do this again? Oh, wait, why do I get a little bit of a different result? Maybe I try this again. Oh, so that happens. So in the beginning phase of your, progression, you're going to be doing a lot of data collection. And then later down the line, you're more likely going to be working on skill improvement. You're going to identify some core skills that you need to separately develop, and you're going to be working on that. And then later on, you're going to be developing your own style and so on and so forth, right? So, yes, they are all steps that get you closer to the goal that you want, but just because they're all steps, it doesn't really mean that they do the same thing or achieve the same thing or they are qualitatively the same. Okay, but the question at hand is about the beginning process, right? So beginning process is a lot about data collection, as I said. Data collection really depends a lot on curiosity, right? What happens if I do this? Oh, what can I do to do that? Maybe I'll try this. A lot of the times, we find ourselves thinking, okay, so I need to work on being more curious. This already implies that you're not curious and you're trying to force it, right? When we get really curious about something, when we genuinely get curious about something, we find ourselves curious after or mid curiosity. You're kind of in it and you're like, wow, I must be really curious. So just like this, if you're really enjoying a game, right? You log off and then you're like, holy crap, I've been playing for 10 hours. Or mid-session, you're like, wow, wait, how long have I been here, right? That's sort of the proof that you're kind of immersed in the game right now. If you're really immersed in the game, you don't think, oh man, I'm gonna really immerse myself in this game. You'd already be playing it. Well, of course, like you could be busy doing other things and you're thinking, oh man, I can't wait to go home and play Diablo or whatever. Those cases aside, I'm talking more about that intentional harnessing of curiosity that you might be inclined to do because you're not feeling curious right now, right? So, in this case, then why aren't we curious? So, if curiosity is this thing that I don't work on, then it means that curiosity must be fostered. There's gotta be a way to access that curiosity without needing to do it with force. So, how does one do that? Why am I not feeling curious right now? That's really the question that I'm trying to answer, right? And one thing is, this is most likely that it's something that everybody goes through at least once. We work in cycles, right? We have up cycles and then we have down cycles. We have up cycles and then we have down cycles, so on and so forth. So, if you're thinking about self-development, if you're being introspective, if you feel like you need to be improving yourself and so on and so forth, it's very likely that you're kind of on a lower point. So when you're on a lower point, it's very likely that you're not going to have a lot of energy, right? So there's a chance that this may autocorrect itself. when you give it time. And you have some more energy, and then you find yourself curious about things. So you make a pretty good stride during that portion, and then when the energy comes down, you take a little break, and then you progress again, and so on and so forth. That's fine. So that's a very common case. But a less common case is, so I don't mean this clinically, but symptom-wise, you might be going through a phase of depression. Unconsciously, you might be thinking, what's the point of being curious about this? Right? Why bother with this? Yeah, it could be, it sounds nice, but is it really gonna solve all of my problems? This kind of pessimistic outlook might be something that you're holding on to at the moment. And when you're holding on to these kind of things, it's gonna be very difficult for you to make progress with anything. Why? Because you're not gonna see a point in it, right? So, what to do about this, depression? Well, it's generally a good idea to get a kind of an accurate view of yourself. So, if you have access to insurance and you can, work with some psychiatrist and get some evaluations to see whether you're clinically depressed or not, get some chemical help if you can, or if it applies to you, because chances are you don't control your biology, right? I didn't choose to be Asian, but here I am. I didn't choose to be a guy, but here I am, like that. I don't have control over my body. So sometimes you have a brain chemistry that's more prone to something, and those can be really helped with chemicals, right? But if not, then it may be time to think a little bit more about mindfulness. Depression comes from a rigid mindset about what is of point and what is pointless, what is good to pursue and what is bad to pursue. When you have these rigid ideas about life and about how you carry on in your life, it makes life very predictable, and it makes life very mundane. It takes all the color out of your life. So there you become less and less passionate over time. So this is something that you can greatly benefit from by developing mindfulness, by working within yourself to gain a little bit more of a flexibility of mind, right? And when you feel stuck by yourself, it's great to consult a meditation teacher or a Dharma teacher to kind of break through these walls of ideas that you have built around yourself. And a life coach is exactly the type of person that does this kind of work, right? So if you have been spending a lot of time with yourself in introspection, thinking about the big answers and questions to life, and you feel stuck, this is my invitation to take me up on my offer. I will work with you. I'd be happy to hear you out and help you progress forward into a more flexible mindset. You can get started by checking out my website at julylifecoach.com or sending me an email at billy@julylifecoach.com.